everyone, welcome back to another episode of the podcast Beautiful You. I'm your host Avantika. As you all know, we are celebrating Mental Health Awareness Month for the month of May, and you'll be getting a brand new episode each week shedding light on different aspects of mental health. In today's episode, we are covering the role of caregivers and their mental health. So, a caregiver is a person who gives care to people who need help taking care of themselves. It could be providing help and giving care to anyone who has a physical or a mental illness. The people, they could include children, elderly, or patients with chronic illnesses. So, in the mental health space, we often have conversations with people living with mental illnesses. We acknowledge their struggles, their journey, but we often forget about the ones who have been their backbone, the ones who have to see their loved ones struggling so much. This is not to invalidate someone's struggle or journey or pain or to even compare. It's simply to acknowledge the struggle caregivers go through as well. It's hard when you're hurting, of course, and it's also hard when your loved one is hurting. A substantial amount of research shows that family members who provide care to individuals with chronic or disabling conditions are themselves at risk. Emotional, mental, and physical health problems arise from complex caregiving situations when compared with non-caregivers. They show higher levels of stress, depression, feelings of frustration, anger, irritability, and so on. They tend to indulge in lower levels of self-care as well, and their own physical and mental health gets worse. So, to discuss this further, we have a beautiful guest with us. She has been a caregiver for her sister for a very long time, and her sister has been struggling with mental health from a very young age. So, let's dive into the episode. So, as we all know that we are celebrating Mental Health Month, today we have a beautiful guest with us. She is Piper. She has been a caregiver for her sister who struggled with mental health from a very young age. Piper is a psychology graduate and she's from Canada, currently living outside Bangkok teaching English. Hi Piper, welcome on the podcast.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here. I'm so excited.
Me too. I'm actually so excited. We have been talking about this for such a long time and I'm actually really happy that it's happening. And it's happening in the month of May,
I know, it's my birthday month. May 17th.
Oh, that's so cool. Do you have any plans?
No, we'll see what happens. Probably hang out with some friends.
Oh, that's cool. So you're in Bangkok right now, right?
Yeah.
How long have you been there?
I've been in outside of Bangkok for 6 months. I've also been traveling around a little, just teaching English, and now I'm starting a new job, so I'm super excited about that.
Let's go, making big steps. Nice.
Yeah.
So diving into the episode, could you tell us about your relationship with your sister?
Oh, well, when we were very young, we're going back all the way. She and I, we'd always butt heads, and it became this like love-hate relationship. And I feel like a lot of sisters go through the same thing. You just know the love's always there, right? No matter what happens. But it wasn't till she was like 11, 12 when she started struggling with mental health, which was crazy.
So she's younger than, like, how old is she?
She's 2 years younger than me. I'm 23 at the moment. So she's turning 21. I don't know. Age is just a number.
If you're comfortable, of course. What was the diagnosis?
So the thing is, she throughout the years, she's struggled a lot. I think when she was young, when she was like 11, 12, she was diagnosed with OCD and anxiety. I don't know. The timeline's very. I don't know, because I was also so young, experiencing this with her. But she's been diagnosed with OCD, depression, anxiety, and panic disorder, and also attachment. I forget the technological term for that, but she had this attachment issue with my mom. And I know as a psych major that like a lot of mental illnesses or mental disorders feed into each other. You know, if you have one, there's a possibility you have another one, another diagnosis.
That's a young age, 11, 12.
Yeah. And it was 10 years ago, like when it was barely even talked about. It was like before social media was anything at all. And it was so scary and confusing for my whole family. And my dad's like, oh, she'll get over it, you know, but it is so much more than that.
Yeah, no, I can.
We get.
How was it like for you?
Yeah.
Growing up and, you know, having your sister struggle so much with mental health?
Well, it was scary. It was uncertain. You don't know what mood she's going to be in or if she's going to have a good day or a bad day. And it's really scary having someone you love so much go through something and go through hardship. And it definitely makes an impact on the whole family, for sure. My mom was one of her biggest supports, and just supporting my mom throughout the process was challenging.
You guys had to like grow up at a very young age.
My sister, I'd like to say, is much more mature than I am. I feel like she's been through so much. She's like my older sister in a way, and she kind of puts me in my place, and I think it's just because she has so much wisdom going through her hardships and her mental health journey.
Yeah. In those times, you mentioned that she also had panic disorder, right? And when we were like talking once, you had mentioned how difficult it was seeing her having panic attacks as well. How would you like support your? Go on.
I feel like generally I'm quite a sensitive person, and so when someone goes through emotions, or goes through some sort of hardship, I can almost feel it. I don't know if you heard of an empath. I feel like I have some traits of that. I can just feel her emotions. Like I can sense it off her. And so when a panic disorder will come up, or like a panic attack, I mean, I could just sense it off her. And it's like this very dark and complex thing that she's battling, like in her mind, and I can tell. And right before I left to go work abroad, she had a couple days where she just had intense panic, and it was just it made me feel sick to my stomach. It really did. Like she was battling herself, you know. She was not able to do anything. She was just trapped in her own mind. And it's when someone's going through intense panic and like their heart is racing, their mind is never ending, all these thoughts, just it's like a wave, and you can't control it almost when you're in it, you know. And I've experienced one panic attack in my life, and it really gave me an idea of what she was going through. And it's really hard when someone's in the thick of it, how to kind of get them away from it or try and like get their mind off it, because it's so much in the forefront of their mind when you're in a panic attack, you know, like you feel like you're gonna die, you know, but you're not. Yeah. And so how I helped her, I learned through, like, this started very young. Like I remember when she was like when we were very young kids, she would come into my bed and she would be shaking, like from like a panic or anxiety attack, and she would be shaking, and I would just hold her and try and calm her down. And now that we've grown up, it's gotten a bit more complex. Like I kind of I try and take her mind away from it, even for just a little bit. And I would ask her just some really random questions. I'm like, what colors is the curtain? What color is the floor? Why do you think the floor looks like that? So it would take away from her irrational mind, and it will take her to her rational mind. Like it's almost like mindfulness, like, oh, what color is that pot over there, you know? And I would also have her do Sudoku or word searches, or I will try and explain like something very thoroughly and make sure like I don't know, just some very logical things. And I feel like it helps a little, of course. I mean, you can't really shake them out of it. You kind of have to let it run its course, right? And so I'd take her on walks. We'd go on walks, just whatever she was comfortable with, you know. Like you just she had to ride it out. And it really, in that moment when she was going through that time, it hurt my heart. Of course, it's not easy. It's not easy at all. I find that, you know, when you're in a panic attack, I mean, and I don't know, I'm not one that's too experienced with it, but from my outside perspective, is just getting in touch with facts, with logic, you know, get your mind doing like a puzzle, or really force yourself to use your brain, like do math or something. I feel like focusing on something that is really concrete and logical really gets your mind away from the rational, crazy thoughts that panic attacks can bring to you, and the feeling itself. I have another tip. My only ever panic attack I ever had, I don't know, it was just triggered by my own anxiety, I believe, and I could not breathe. I was going crazy. I felt like I was dying, and I ran myself a bath to calm me down, and I was so out of sorts that I didn't realize the water was warm. So I jumped into the bath, freezing cold water, and it shook me out of it. It went away for just a little while, and it almost made it go away. And I noticed just shocking your system with like cold definitely helps 100%. My sister would even just like put an ice pack on her head sometimes, and she talked to her support group about it too, and she was like, yeah, no, I vouch for this.
Yeah, no, one of the ways to like calm a panic attack is, like you said, to shock the system. So often psychologists, like a mental professional, suggest you carry a sour food, like anything, like a packet of sour sweets or anything like that, which is you can, if you're experiencing, or if you think you're about to experience a panic attack, just eat something that's really sour. Or if you can have ice pack with you, then keep that, use that and stuff like that. So yeah, like shocking the system definitely helps with panic attacks.
Yeah, just making yourself aware of your own physical body. Like it's like instant mindfulness, you know, and you just hop in a cold bath, you're just like, oh, and you're like, oh, I don't know, it shocks the mind.
Yeah. I had my own share of panic attacks growing up. Like Yeah, they were crazy and so scary. I remember. I haven't had one in about 1.5 years, so thank God. That's it.
Very good.
Yeah, that's good. That yeah, hopefully it doesn't happen again. But oh my God, it's so stressful. Like sometimes my panic attacks would last up to like 40 minutes, and there's like I wouldn't know what is happening and I would know how to get out of it, but there's no way to get out of it. I need to like let just like time run through, and it feels like I'm dying, but I also know that I'm not dying because it's a panic attack. So it's just yeah, letting yourself go through it. And I remember this one time my mom watched me have a panic attack and she was scared because she knew I had panic attacks, but she didn't know what panic attacks are. Like she just knew the name, but she didn't know what it is or how it feels like. And she saw me have one and she panicked. She was like so scared because it's scary to look at. Like you're like hyperventilating and you're just anxious and you're like, I was like bawling my eyes out and I couldn't even stop crying. Like I'm not trying to cry, I'm just like breathless. I'm trying to catch a breath but I can't. So it's just a mess. And like watching someone have it and also not knowing what to do or not knowing like how to stop it, or just knowing that you can't do anything to like stop it and you just need to like let time pass. That's, I can imagine, scary.
Yeah, and well, especially if you're not so used to seeing someone go through this, like you're just like, what do I do? Like, I don't know, like I want to help them, but I can't. I don't want to make it worse. And I feel like time has passed. I've built my own strategies that I know that work, that can help her, that can help my sister. Like sometimes she would FaceTime me and she's like, Piper, I'm not doing good. I'm like, okay, run a cold bath. I need to see you jump in it right now. Do it right now. No thoughts. Just go. Just do it. You can't say no. And she's like, no. I'm like, no, go. Yeah.
I'm curious, how do you support yourself in those times of distress? Like, I can imagine it's hard for you too, right? So how do you support yourself during those times?
I mean, knowing when to, like, when my sister would have day long, like she would have a couple days where she would just be in intense panic. Like, I don't know why, but that's how it works. Sometimes I have to know when it's okay to, like, I've done as much as I can in the moment, and now I need to remove myself and take care of myself, and they may be still going through it, but you just kind of need to be self-aware and just be like, you know what, this is draining me and I need to step away and I'm gonna go read a book or go do my own thing. It's really hard to remove yourself at times because you don't want to feel like you're leaving them and just ditching them, but I feel like they understand because my sister, I feel like she understands, like she does, as her mental health, or when she goes through a hard time, she understands how it does wear me and my family out. She's self-aware about that, and she can't, of course she can't help it, but she understands how, like, it's not easy. And we do need to take care of ourselves in order to take care of her, right? And she does feel bad about it, but I'm like, no, like, we were dealt with a hand of cards and we have to do what's best with it, like, and just make your life as enjoyable as you can and kind of just go with it, right? So I think that it's just knowing when to remove yourself, because you can get quite exhausted mentally, physically. I've seen my mom go through it. Like, she has been my sister's rock. Like, she's been there even though she, like, can't even mentally handle it anymore, she's still there. And she's one of the biggest strongest, most amazing woman I ever known. Just, you know, watching your child, I can't even imagine, go through mental health problems their whole life. And, you know, I can only imagine how scary that was for her, even when it wasn't even talked about or studied as much back in the day. You know, it's just to watch your child go through something like that. I give her a lot of props. I really do think she's a strong, amazing woman. I just, as crazy. It's so crazy. It's so crazy what the mind can do, you know, and how it just, one mind can affect everyone else's mind. I don't know.
It's
Yeah.
a journey that everyone has of their own. When you're a caregiver or someone that you love suffered from any, you know, disorder, even if it's like mental, physical, and it takes a toll on everyone.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really glad that she has such a strong support system, though. That's so crucial in, you know, dealing with any mental health issue.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't have that. You know, a lot of people, they do it on their own, and I can't even imagine how that is. You know.
Yeah,
I'm so happy to have the family that I have, and that we're there for each other, you know.
Yeah, that's lovely. So
Mm-hmm.
you had mentioned that you're an empath, right? And it often distracts you from like focusing on yourself. I want to dwell more into that.
Okay. Well, I feel like not everyone, but a lot of people, when they're young, they go through like a people-pleasing phase, you know? You just kind of want to fit in, you want people to like you.
Yeah.
And I feel like my empathy kind of like mixed up with that, you know? I just, when people are happy, I'm happy. If I am agreeable and I am a yes girl, that makes people happy, and that also makes me happy because I can feel their happy emotions, right?
Yeah.
And so at the end of the day, it kind of, as time went on, I realized this is not healthy. This is not healthy. I need to set boundaries. I need to figure out who I am rather than, you know, just kind of doing what my friends are doing, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know, I feel like coming to Bangkok and removing myself from my friends, well, I didn't really have many roots back at home when I left, but other than my family, but leaving my family and just taking care of myself and really focusing on myself has been really amazing, because I find that in my family environment, I was very affected by my parents' emotions, my sister's emotions, and a lot of my mind was drawn to what they're doing and what they're going through. And I feel like really removing myself, like flying across the world and doing something I think I enjoy, it's really allowed me to explore myself and who I am as a person. And like, I feel so fulfilled being here and teaching wonderful people, wonderful young kids. And I feel like when you're an empath, when you're sensitive to emotions, when you can feel people's happiness, when you can feel people's sorrow, you need to sometimes remove yourself. You need to take care of yourself, and you need to make sure that you are being fulfilled in life, right? And it's not just fulfilling yourself is not just fulfilling others. It's doing things that make you happy, that make you feel alive, that drive you, make you feel motivated, expressing yourself the way you want to express yourself.
I'm so glad you got into this self-exploration journey and just forming boundaries, because being an empath could be like really draining at times. So I'm glad you have boundaries around it.
And I'm very much a social person, and I'm learning now that like I'm not an extrovert. I'm also an introvert. I need to recharge. I need to be in my own space with no sounds, no nothing, just me, and I enjoy my own company and recharge, right? It's been time alone is underrated, I believe, honestly.
I'm actually planning a trip up north in northern India alone. So it's like solo traveling, and I'm really excited.
Yeah.
And I need to be by myself for a bit.
Yes. Like I love solo traveling so much. Everyone who's traveling is very like laid back, and you can be whoever you want to be. No one really cares. You just do you, and you'll probably meet a person, hang out with them, and then never see them again, It's a wonderful thing to do.
For someone who has a friend or an acquaintance who is struggling with mental health, how would you say that they can support their friend?
I feel like number one is listening, making sure they are heard, really making an effort to understand what they're going through. And because your friend will see that and appreciate that when they're being listened and heard and given patience. I think that is huge. And like it may not make a lot of sense to you, but if you want to be a good support for your friend and stay there with them, it requires a lot of patience and listening, because I feel like people who struggle with mental health, they just want to be heard. They want to try and help other people understand what they're going through and how intense it is for them, and it's not easy, right?
It's not.
And yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So as a caregiver to your sibling, what's your best advice for someone, who has a sibling who's going through mental health issues too?
Yeah, I think that just, of course, listening, giving patience, trying to put yourself in their shoes and what they could potentially be experiencing, like trying your best to just understand and really be there for them. And it's really hard and confusing sometimes. You don't really know what to do, but I feel like when someone's going through a hard time, they want to be heard, they want to be understood. Even like the thing is with mental health, they may not even understand it themselves, so really opening up your mind and listening to them, and I feel like is a must for sure. And when it comes to things like depression, it's so difficult, of course, and sometimes you kind of have to push your loved one to do something they may not want to do, within reason, of course. Like if my I remember when my sister's going through her panic attacks, my mom's like, okay, we're going for a walk now. And she's like, I don't want to go. Like, I don't want to leave. Like, but my mom's like, no, it's time. We're going for a walk now. And I feel like in the end it did help her, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes you kind of have to challenge your your loved one, your sibling, to do something they may not want to do or be comfortable with, but if you think it would be better for them, if it make it a bit better and it's something they may need, it's something that they're lacking, you know, do your best to make them do it, right?
Yeah.
Because
I've also seen that just asking them how can I be there for you, or how can I support you, just asking them how they want to be supported ahead.
yeah, because yeah, no, sometimes, yeah, my sister would be like, yeah, no, I don't want to talk to anyone right now. Like, can you leave me alone? I'm like, okay. And then sometimes she's like, can I hold your hand? Can I like hang out with you, or can I, you know, lay on a bed with you and relax? Or so I it's like it's this interesting balance, just like being very mindful of what they want, but also knowing when it's right to kind of push them outside of their comfort zone, right? Because I feel like when we're pushed outside of our comfort zone a little, we definitely learn something and we grow, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
What's something you wish everyone knew about the role of caregivers?
About the role of caregivers, I mean, I feel like that caregivers aren't really recognized enough, you know. It's hard, it's exhausting, it's relentless sometimes, and you know, we're really, a part of our lives is invested in supporting someone else.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a lot of energy and time that we have to balance with our everyday lives, right? And everyone goes through their own struggle. You know, no one's struggle is worse than another, right? Like everyone has their own personal struggle, and of course someone going through mental issues and problems, like that's their struggle, but also there's the struggle of the people around them, right? And it affects the other, like it affects the people around them so much more than people really know, you know, and it's not acknowledged enough.
That's true. Yeah.
And I feel like, you know, someone who's going through mental issues or mental problems, of course, if they need, go see a therapist, but also people who are really affected by their loved one going through something, they should also be open to going to see a therapist. Mm-hmm. Because it's not easy, and putting things into words and learning how to deal with hardship of your loved one, I feel like would be very beneficial, talking to someone who could help you strategize and make a healthy balance in your life, help you make a healthy balance in supporting someone and taking care of yourself, right?
That's actually really nice. So we are coming towards an end of an episode, but before that, is there anything that I missed out on that you would like to talk about or expand on?
Mental illness, mental disorders,
I feel like we're still at the very beginning of research. Like, it's such a huge thing, and it's still not acknowledged enough. And just know you're not alone. Everyone, like even just someone who doesn't struggle with mental health problems, like everyone is living life, and there's hard times. There's always going to be hard times.
Yeah.
And it's just really how you react to it, how you handle it, that will set the note for like the next day or the next chapter in your life, right? I believe that when you go through like a depressive episode, or if you have like a really bad couple months or a year, that it's meant to happen for you to evolve in some way, and it kind of redirects you in making a life that you would love to live eventually, right? I think with struggle comes growth and reward, right?
Yeah.
And before I moved out to Bangkok, I was really affected by my own depressive episodes that I've never experienced before, and it really it really got to a bad point where like I wasn't taking care of myself. I wasn't like even just basic hygiene. And as much as intense as that time was in my life, and horrible and saddening, I feel like it led me to the point I am now. I was able to bounce back and really just figure out what I want and what I need out of life so I can feel fulfilled, right? Because when you're in that depressive state, it feels like just this, never-ending dark hole, right? And you don't think you're ever gonna get out of it when you're in that moment, but just one day at a time, and everything will work out in some way, for sure.
Yeah.
Things will be better. Things will get better one day at a time.
Well, having hope goes a long way.
Hope? No, it's perseverance.
That's true. Yeah.
I can't imagine, like, I bet the girl who's sad, crying every day in her room, like that version of me could not even imagine to be in the place I am now. Like, life is crazy.
So proud of you. Thank you for coming on the podcast and sharing your journey and your sister's journey with us.
Yes, of course.
Yeah,
I hope that people can can relate in some way, or can gain from what I shared today.
It takes a lot of courage to talk about it. So thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Yeah.
You were willing to talk about it. It means a lot.
Yeah. I feel like communication and just openness goes a long way, and it's something everyone needs to normalize.
Yeah, that's true.
So we can help each other.
Yeah, to help people feel less alone, even if it reaches out to just one person who is like, oh, I can relate to it. I feel less alone, that I'm not the only one going through it. So it goes a long way.
Thank you so much for being such a great host.
Thank you so much. You're so kind. Where can people reach out to you?
If someone wants to hit me up and chat about whatever, my Instagram is piper.a, so PIPER.A. let's chat. Let's have some fun.
Okay. Thank you so much, everyone, for sticking to the end and listening to the episode. We hope it was fruitful and we hope it was insightful because, like we had discussed before, it's in the mental health space. We talk about people going through the mental health problems, but it's the caregiver's role is often not so talked about. So yeah, we hope to shed some light towards the caregiver's role in this episode. So thank you so much for sticking in, for tuning in, and I'll be linking Piper's Instagram in the description below. My email and Instagram will be linked in the below. So feel free to reach out. And thank you, Piper, again for being here. You were amazing.
Yes, thank you. You're amazing.
So yeah, signing off. I'll see you guys in the next episode. I love you. Bye.